Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Yammie Noob. Thanks so much for checking it out. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're doing a bit of a Q&A. I think it's been a while since we've done just a standard Q&A video. I put up on my Instagram at Yammie_Noob if you want to go follow and check it out. I put up a story post. I was like, hey, shooting a Q&A today. Send me any questions you want. I'll try to answer all of them. So that's what we're gonna do today. But before we begin, I just wanted to give a big shout out to our members over on YammieNoob.co. They are a huge reason why we're able to make so many videos and do so many cool things. So I'm very, very grateful for all the supporters we have over there on YammieNoob.co. If you want to support the channel and support the giveaway series and even win some free motorcycles, hit the link down below to YammieNoob.co and check it out. Let's get into these questions. Okay, so I think I'm gonna put them up over here somewhere for the questions I got. I got a lot of them. I'm gonna try to answer as many as possible. So I'm gonna start off from the bottom. Wow, that's a lot of questions. Okay, I'm gonna start from the bottom because those are the people that got in there first, and I'm gonna see the coolest ones we can find. So Axel Con CZ05 asks, would you ever ride and review a Sportster? Yeah, sure, why not? I have actually never ridden a Sportster, which is kind of crazy because it's one of the best-selling Harleys, one of the best-selling motorcycles. Yeah, I'd love to check out one of those bikes. I know that they have a huge aftermarket and modification scene, so Spite and I were talking about it'd be fun to have one as a project bike and do some stuff with it, so yeah, for sure. No Phil Amer says, Papa Yam, bless me so I can succeed in biking after quarantine. You are blessed, my child. Go forth, do dank nooners, don't crash. Drummond Hill asks, can you pop dank nooners on a 250cc? You can wheelie just about any bike as long as you have enough yeet energy and as long as you rip the clutch wide open and just crack that thing up. I've wheelied 250s, 390s, the Busa on accident. I've wheelied my Daytona. You can wheelie anything you want. Okay, so Waza Beanie Guy asked a couple different ones, and I think it's all related to the same thing here. So he says, stunts and go on massive group rides and run from the police when they turn up because of what they, I know this is a topic you don't like talking about. As someone who I idolize, kind of, I want to hear what you think. I think he's asking about like big group rides and stunt groups and that kind of stuff. For me personally, you are free to do whatever you want. It's your life, it's your choices. I do not like and do not condone doing massive group rides. I find them to be really messy. Somebody always goes down. They're kind of dangerous. People are always doing illegal stuff, running red lights and stopping traffic. I don't really get the point of it. I like, at the very, very most, my group rides are, 6 people, 8 people, at the very most. I kind of like riding in a close group of like 2 or 3 people. That way you know everybody, you're all in the same comm, you can communicate effectively. I really don't like the big stunt ride group thing. If you want to go stunt, go find a parking lot, go by yourself or with a couple buddies. Don't do it in a big group because then egos get in the way, things get kind of weird. It's really not my scene, so that's my thoughts on that. Constantino asks, will you test ride a Harley Davidson Bronx when it comes out? I will do you one better. When the Bronx comes out, if things line up correctly, I want to toss it into the beginner bike giveaway series to give away because that's going to be a bike that a lot of people are going to talk about and I definitely want to grab one. Yo Dude Stop It asks, do you look up to / admire anyone in the motorcycling community? There's lots of guys I admire very much in the motorcycling community. The first name that comes to mind is Ari Henning. I think Ari's a super cool guy. We've chatted on DMs on Instagram a couple times. He's super knowledgeable, really friendly, really approachable, and I think he's a great ambassador for motorcycling, and he's just a cool guy. Obviously, Valentino Rossi, just for being the GOAT, being the greatest GP rider of all time, and if you don't agree with me, don't at me because I don't care. Great ambassador for motorcycling as well, so I think those would be my top 2 picks if we just pick one off the dome. Lord Denazy says, address the fact that the CBR 600RR is the greatest Japanese middleweight. That's just objectively not true. The 636 is a better super sport than the CBR in just about every way. The R6 has more championships under its belt. If we're talking just pure middleweight, not even super sports, the MT09 has something to tell you. CBR 600RR. Paul Orford16 asks, favorite Triumph motorcycle release this year? I gotta give it to the Rocket 3, honestly. I thought it'd be a really stupid, goofy motorcycle, but I had tons of fun riding the Rocket 3. Way more fun than I thought, so definitely my favorite bike that they've released. Jay Day asks, do you often think about your motorcycle crashes? I hit a tree and I've been nervous since. Maybe there's something kind of broken in my brain. I don't tend to dwell on my crashes too much. I find that doing so is not really conducive to my life. It's not really conducive to my riding. I think the only times I think about it are when I start finding myself maybe pushing a little too much on the street, and then I'm like, you know what? Maybe you should cook it back a little bit. Then I remember how bad it hurt, and then I stop. A1M asks, do you ride in 6GAR off camera? My dude, we keep the prayer on here on this sticker. Too slow, bro, I don't like. Please ride fast, bro, ride in 6GAR. Never forget. Matthew W. Lux 6 asks, what was your first bike? It was a 2015 Yamaha R3. Joshua Dubois asked a couple questions, but I'm gonna answer this one. He says, how many bikes do you own? Let's count them out. I own a KTM RC390 that's track prepped. I have a Daytona 675R that is race prepped for CMRA events. I have a Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled, which is my lovable little street bike slash off-road goof-around bike. I've got a Suzuki Hayabusa, of course, everyone knows I've got one of those. I've got a Triumph Street Triple for the giveaway. I've got an XSR 700 for the giveaway, and then a KTM Duke 390 for the giveaway. So I currently own 7 motorcycles that are titled under my name. Kind of crazy. Lashady84 asks, who introduced you to biking? I would say my dad, but not really. Like, my dad rode bikes for a very brief moment in time in his life, so he didn't really introduce them to me. I would honestly say the internet. Like, I was just curious about motorcycles, and I started looking things up back in like 2013, 2014, found a lot of cool videos of moto vloggers and content creators and just started getting into it. Whatever it Jakes asks, what are you going to do with all that extra space in the old Yammie HQ? So that's actually my personal garage where I live, and now it's taken up by my 370Z and my Desert Sled currently. And my RC390 is over there as well, but it needs to go back to the track. And then my truck is outside of the garage, so a lot of vehicles. A Little Lit asks, you can have any 3 bikes in the world, what are they? So this is a fun question. 3 bikes. Okay, I'd have a WR250R. No, I wouldn't. Okay, here's what I would do. If I get 3 bikes, one's a race bike for sure, one's a race slash track bike, and it'd probably be a Daytona for sure. One is a street bike. So I think for my street bike, honestly, I gotta go for the CBX. If we're just doing like stupid dream garage stuff, it's the CBX from Honda, 6-cylinder, screw it, that's it. And then the third bike's like a 250 dirt bike. That would be it. I'd be happy with that for life. Seth McGraw asked, why do I constantly feel alone in this world, Papa? Well, it's because capitalism is a dystopian nightmare. Late-stage capitalism particularly has been designed to isolate you and to put you in a little box away from your village and your tribe and to make sure that you only exist to produce profit for this world. So that is probably why you feel so alone. So Reefer MSY asks, when is your Turbo Busa become a Turbo Busa? We are planning on buying the turbo kit late in April, and then probably in May we'll start the process of installing it. It's like a super big job, so I'm trying to make sure we plan for it, so think mid-April. Oh, Zanyit asks an interesting question. Is shifting mid-turn bad? It is not. As long as you execute it correctly and make sure you don't upset the bike, you can shift down a gear mid-turn as much as you want. There's really no, it's preferable to be in one gear and then take your corner and then power out, even if you're lower in a gear than you need to be, but there's nothing wrong if you're mid-lean and then you pop it down a gear. As long as you rev match correctly and you don't upset the rear, you'll be fine. Mark Mazzarella asks, kind of basic, but how did YN start? Or Yammie Noob start? So back in 2015, my dad was living in Brazil because he was starting a new business down there, and then I had bought my first motorcycle and he was getting worried about me riding and he wanted to make sure I was wearing all of my gear. And then I bought a little GoPro just to show him that I was wearing all of my gear at the time and I was riding, correctly and not doing anything crazy. So that video is actually still up on my channel. If you go on my channel and look up to the oldest video I ever posted, my first upload is still on this channel, and it's just a little YZF-R3 post that I made for him to show him that I was riding. So that's how it started. OnCar210 asks, your views on bikes like the ZX25R, and would you buy a bike like this, or is this just another bike like a Ninja 400? So the ZX25R is nothing like a Ninja 400. Nothing like a Ninja 400 at all. I'm very, very excited about this motorcycle, but I'm very, very pessimistic about it coming to America. I think it's very unlikely for the ZX25R to make its way to America just because that bike exists only to serve a particular market. I believe it's like in Southeast Asia where they have taxes over bikes over a certain amount of CCs, and so this is meant to exist there. I don't think it's ever going to make it to America. But yeah, it's really, really neat. Kawasaki actually teased a race-only edition of the ZX25R, which super cool. But here's the thing as well, for that price and for what you're getting, I don't really understand why you wouldn't want to go for something like a 600. If you're already going to go for four-stroke, if you're already going to go for race replica, I would just go for the 600 class. Just because for me personally, I feel like, about 120 horsepower is the sweet spot for track days. It's all the power you can use on the track. You can literally squeeze every drop out of a bike. And this is someone who has an RC390 who's track prepped. I love that bike, but I really prefer riding my Daytona. So I don't know if I would get one personally. Here in 88 asks, have views gone up in volume the last month and thoughts on correlation with quarantine? Yeah, they have gone up, but ad rates have gone down too. So it's kind of like both the curves went like this. So really it's like business as usual over here, weirdly enough. Yosef Sav asks a question that I think a lot of people are curious about is how do you get the money for all the giveaway bikes and personal bikes? And I think this is kind of funny because I mention it literally in every video. It's yammie-noob.co. Like all of our members on there, they are a huge reason why we get to do so many cool things. And I'm very grateful for their support, and I try my best to hang out in the Discord server and play around with everybody. But yeah, yammie-noob.co is a big reason why we get to do all this stuff, and just the whole business in general, I guess. Like, you have YouTube revenue, you have sponsorships, affiliates, merchandise, the website. I mean, it all comes together to form a pretty cool thing. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for all of our memberships and supports over there, and they're a big reason why we get to do so many cool things. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Zach Bellman asks a good question. Has the Frontier been a good truck so far? I will stand for the Frontier. I will die for the Frontier. The Frontier is a great mid-sized truck, and I'm very much enjoying mine. It's done everything I've asked from it. Great truck. Jack Allen asks, how did you gain back your motivation to ride after an accident? For me, personally, it's just, my life just didn't feel complete without me being on a motorcycle. It always felt like something was missing, especially after my crash. I was off the bike for 18 months. I just felt like something was missing, and not riding was the reason, and so I had to get back on it, plain and simple. Jason Resiniti asks, how long did it take before your Daytona wasn't super fun on the road anymore? I would say after my very first track day with it, I realized that that bike belongs on track. It's not really, once I started really understanding what that bike was designed to do and what it could do and how far I was from doing what it could do back in the day, then I was like, man, there's just no point to owning this thing on the street. So I would say that was probably like about a year after owning it for the street that I was like, yeah, I just want to make this as a track bike for sure, which now is awesome that I have the race prep version. Matthew W. Corzo asks, what do you think about starting off on the ZX6R? Terrible idea, for a lot of reasons. They're uncomfortable, they make too much power, the brakes are too strong, you're not gonna have fun, you'll learn more on a little bike. Do I need to go on? Don't get a ZX6R as your first bike, it's not a great option. So Rios F. Du asks, how many courses have you taken? I'm assuming that's asking about rider courses and that kind of stuff. I have taken the basic MSF, so the basic rider course, day 1 and 2, obviously because you have to. And then I have done 2 days of the California Superbike School, levels 1 and 2. And then I've done a handful of, private on-track instruction, that kind of stuff. So I'd say maybe like 6 days of like private, in-depth instruction. It's definitely something I want to do more of. So full disclosure, I've done probably like 50 days at the track at this point. I wouldn't say I'm expert level pace because that sounds so douchey to say, but I'm definitely like high intermediate, getting close to, knocking on the door for expert level pace, which is great. I really want to get there, and it's really awesome to kind of get there, and I think I can, but I'm at the point now where I would love to, 50% of my on-track time, I would really appreciate if I could find a good coach to kind of guide me through some of the stuff that I want to work on. Because there's only so much you can work on yourself in terms of timing your own laps and watching your own footage and doing that kind of stuff. Eventually, you want someone in there with you in person, kind of guiding you and molding you and helping you out. So that kind of answers that question. Jonathan Blom asked, how do you feel about long trips on a super sport? Miserable, absolutely miserable. I rode my Daytona from Dallas to Austin one time. That's a 240 mile journey, something like that. It's miserable. I do not recommend it. XL1200C Kyle asks, adventure / touring possible for the next giveaway? Would love to see you review chain versus shaft drive. To be honest, after seeing how poorly the DRZ400 did in terms of its videos, in terms of interest in it, I think we're pretty much just going to stick to sport bikes for the giveaways, because it seems like this channel, you know, kind of the brand we've built around it, people really only care about sport bikes, so we're probably not going to do an ADV for a giveaway, even though I would love to try one out. Sober Chap asks, reveal of track spec Daytona and next track session. Very soon. We're waiting on 2 more parts to finish it up, and then I gotta paint it, and I gotta do a couple more little bits here and there, and then she'll be ready for the big reveal. And then my next track session was whenever that's done, so I'm planning on late April to try to go back to the track and hopefully get a session in, so that would be great. Yowen asks, ridden a Triumph Scrambler 900? I'm lusting after them and would like to know your thought. I have ridden a Triumph Scrambler, and I really didn't like it. I know that's gonna be, you know, a shocker to a lot of people because I'm kind of known as a Triumph fanboy, and I do love a lot of their bikes, but I really felt like the Scrambler was not a good bike. I thought the throttle was really sloppy. I thought the handling was kind of wonky. And then I jumped on the Desert Sled, and I was like, this is what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I want. Was not a big fan of the Triumph Scrambler, honestly. The Myth15 asks, if you were to get a full-blown dirt bike, which one would you get? Man, I'm trying to remember the exact name of it so I don't mess it up, but I believe it's the CRF 250 RX. If I screw that up, I'm gonna put it in post, the correct one. It's Honda's 250 like trail / enduro oriented bike, so it's not a motocross bike, which is great because I don't want like a YZF 250 or YZF 450 for trail stuff, because I'm not really interested in doing motocross yet. Maybe someday I will be, but right now I don't. So I think I would want that bike. Jake Mathis 600 asks, how to work on confidence building. I've been riding for a year and I still struggle. That's a tough one, honestly. Confidence building is such like an internal thing you gotta work on. It's really just about practicing until it all becomes just muscle memory, and then you know you're gonna make it through whatever corner you're gonna do or low speed stuff. But it takes time. I don't think I was truly confident on a bike probably until after about a year that I rode. I certainly wasn't confident my first 6 months, my first year. I would say after 12 months, I started feeling a little bit more confident in what I could do on a motorcycle. So don't give up. Just think positively, practice, and you'll be good. Montgomery McShorg asks, a rare / unattainable bike you would like to own. There's many. The Suzuki B-King, I'd love to own one of those just for shits and giggles. A CBX would be awesome. A Ducati 916, molto bene. Those would definitely be some of my top 3 that I would really like to get my hands on. Ibid Z34 asks, can you do more stuff with the Z? So for a lot of you guys don't know, I own a 370Z. It was my daily car for a long time until I got the Frontier. I still have it because I just love it too much to sell it. And no, this is a motorcycle channel, and so I probably will never feature my Z because no one cares about that. I barely care enough about it to make a video about it. Nate Dillon 04 asks, how do you deal with stress? Man, stress is a tough one. It depends on what kind of stress. Typically, if it's like a time-sensitive based kind of stress, if it's something that I'm kind of just working through, my MO is to just, you know, put my nose to the grindstone and just muscle through whatever I'm working on. If it's a situation where I need to do something to stop the stress from happening, I'll usually try to go to the source of the problem and just nip it in the bud. Let's say I'm having stress from a personal relationship or something's going on. I just try to go to whatever's causing it and just make it stop as soon as I can. I don't like having constant stress. I don't think anyone does, but that's kind of how I deal with it. And the last question here from David, my good friend, Mexico. He says, I have a micro penis. What should I do about it? You know, David, they make many things nowadays for you. They got pills, they got pumps, they got all kinds of stuff. And if that doesn't work out, just tuck it in the back, put on a strap on and go to town. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you tuning in today for this Q&A. Hope you had some fun. Hope I was able to answer some cool questions for you. Again, if you want to join up as a member and support our channel, click the link below down to yammie-noob.co. Sign up, you get access to our Discord server. I'm on there every day. You get exclusive content, and you get entered to win our free motorcycle, so that's pretty sick. I will catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Oh, I got to give you a fact, right? Oh, here's a good one. Fact: trees are younger than dinosaurs. Goodbye.